It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. The ever-tightening turns 1 and 2 will prove tricky in the slippery conditions here at Shanghai, and anyone that slides wide will lose a lot of time getting back on track. Turn 14 should still be the best place for overtaking, but we'll have to see some improvement in the weather before the drivers can take advantage of that DRS assistance. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Vettel, Charles Leclerc and Albon, Grosjean, Stroll, Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz, Norris, Magnussen, Sergio Perez and Ocon, Russell, Giovinazzi, Daniel Kvyat and Kimi Raikkonen, Gasly and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down. That's a decent start. Good job. a new fastest lap of the race. Nice work, that's P1. Race win. Well done.
There'll be many smiles at the factory after that one. A great race and a real team performance to take the win here in Shanghai. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari do it again. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Well, you can't fault anything that Sergio Perez did out on the track today. He drove flawlessly, making him an easy pick. I know that's at odds with the official decision, but I think they deserve some recognition on a day where both of these drivers are at the top of their game.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one. It's time to go racing once again here at Zandvoort as we get underway for the Dutch Grand Prix. Zandvoort Circuit, 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with plenty of steep camber and elevation changes to keep our drivers on their toes throughout a 2.6 mile lap. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the rundown into turn one. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Vettel, Bottas, Lewis Hamilton and Albon, Norris, Magnussen, Ricciardo and Carlos Sainz, Perez, Grosjean, Esteban Ocon and Stroll, Giovinazzi, Latifi, Daniel Kvyat and Pierre Gasly. Raikkonen and George Russell ends our grid lineup. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Start. Let's keep it up. now use DRS. DRS now available. Was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
What a great race then, and what a magnificent victory here at the Dutch Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team. Some amazing talents out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Well, for me, it's got to be Lewis Hamilton. The multiple world champion may be the boring choice at this point, but you can't argue that he's a driver deserving of his reputation.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one. Well, it's a pleasure to have you join us here at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya as we proceed through to race day to see just who will claim victory at the Spanish Grand Prix. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of turn 9. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are three main things to worry about there, Crofty: positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Leclerc, Valtteri Bottas and Albon, Sainz, Ocon, Stroll and Roman Grosjean, Perez, Magnussen, Lando Norris and Ricciardo, Kvyat, Russell, Pierre Gasly and Nicholas Latifi, Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down. job, nice overtake. DRS is now enabled. Taken 13th place, P13. This is your final lap of the race. Okay, the gap behind is 3.5 seconds. That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
Victory for the team from Milton Keynes then, after a quality performance. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today and the results speak for themselves.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
Difficult call, but I'd like to say Esteban Ocon. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of his tyres, and he showed that today.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one. We're here to kick off today's race at the infamous Circuit de Monaco. Drivers will need to be on their top form if they want to take home the win today. We're on the French Riviera once more this weekend at the 2-mile-long Circuit de Monaco. The cars will climb around 40 metres up the hill, past the casino, and then descend downwards towards the harbour through Sector 2. It's a very short run from pole position to the first of the 19 corners at Saint-Devote. And don't expect to see much overtaking here today. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of Turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. Edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Alexander Albon, and Hamilton, Norris, Grosjean, Ricciardo, and Esteban Ocon, Perez, Stroll, Carlos Sainz, and Magnussen, Latifi, Raikkonen, Daniel Kvyat, and Pierre Gasly, Giovinazzi, and George Russell ends our grid lineup. That's it then, it's time to go racing, as we head to trackside for today's race.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down. First lap. Keep it up. DRS is now available. left is 28.5 seconds. This is your final lap of the race. Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
That's it then for another nail-biting Monaco Grand Prix. We were on the edge of our seats the whole time, but they've come through to take a stunning victory. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one. With the drivers currently lining up on the grid, it's almost time to begin today's race event here. We're on the winding streets of Baku. With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of Turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are three main things to worry about there, Crofty. Positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Alexander Albon and Leclerc, Ocon, Magnussen, Ricciardo and Lance Stroll, Grosjean, Norris, Carlos Sainz and Perez, Kvyat, Raikkonen, Pierre Gasly and George Russell. Latifi and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
That's what we like to see at the start. Well done. now use DRS. DRS now available. Good job. That was the fastest lap of the race so far. You worked hard for that one. Congratulations.
Here we are then, it's victory in Azerbaijan. Great work from the whole team here at the track and back at the factory as well. And some pretty handy driving for good measure. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
It's got to be Lewis Hamilton. I mean, he pulled off some impressive feats out on the track today, even by his standards. All respect to the fans' choice, they fully deserve it. But I just feel that my pick had a little more on their plate, so their ability to keep a cool head and come through for such a strong finish made the difference, at least in my opinion.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.